everyone. Happy afternoon.
Hi.
Friday,
Oh,
Sunday.
Friday.
Yes, yes. And I just want to say before we start, girls, what an extraordinary world that we're living in. What with COVID and now the new strain of COVID and now what's happened in America, which is heartbreaking. And, you know, we will look back. This is history in the making. It's extraordinary. And we will look back at 2020 with COVID and everything. And now we will look back at 2021 of what's happened to America. And we will never forget this time, but it will end. It will stop and we will all move on and things will come back and it will be exciting. The world will be exciting.
Well, it has to be. I mean, the vaccine is also part of history in the making, isn't it? I mean, considering how quickly it was put through. And I had a thing from my doctor, and I don't know if any of you girls did. It was just like, you know, you can see how long it will take for you to get the vaccine. So you put in your age locally, and I am apparently, after 22 million people, actually, I'm next on the list here, wherever it is. And they said I should be getting my vaccine about March or April next year.
Darling, did you give your true age then? Surely that can't have happened.
No, I didn't actually. I gave my daughter's age.
That's why it's so late.
I thought so.
But when will everybody be vaccinated? Does it say?
Well, they said on it, the whole country should be vaccinated in 2.1 years.
Long time.
Well, long time coming.
Yeah.
Oh,
but I suppose in the vaccinations world that it isn't a long time, is it?
No, exactly.
Oh,
exactly. When you think, you know, we're doing very well here at the moment, more than a lot of other countries. We're rolling it out.
Yeah, we
are. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
And it's about that. I don't know about you guys, but the world is so unhinged that I'm so grateful to escape into Zoom to be with you guys on Friday. Thank goodness we have Dress Up Friday. Just for a little bit of, you know, freedom from the world's madness, just for a bit. And to share how we feel and to have a laugh, because we need one. And talking of that, Dee, darling, what have you got on your head? Can you explain?
Oh, darling, just a little thing that I threw together this morning, and I've been working on all day, of course, for about 2 minutes. And because I was reading that because of the lockdown hair, that hats are making a big comeback.
Well, good.
So I was delighted to hear that. And, you know, my mum and my grandma always dressed up to go into town. I don't know if your mum and grandparents did, but they'd always wear a hat, maybe a little jacket and high heels and a handbag. And we don't do that anymore. And it's so lovely. It was so great to know that today we'd be dressing up and
well, my mum always used to dress up all the time. And if ever she had a new car, she would buy something the colour of the car before she went and got the car. And another thing, and I do this all the time, she would dress to go to an airport.
Of course.
Always. And I still do it now. I dress the hair, makeup, outfit. And people think, what are you doing? Why you got joggers on? You're going to go to sleep on the plane. But, you know, one of the things I learned, once on a plane, I saw Joan Collins. You know, she played my boss in Benidorm. This is before I knew her. And she was the hair, the makeup and everything. She got on the plane. Of course, she turned left and went into the loo and came out, no makeup, joggers, joggy bottom. They shut the thing so no one could see. And she slept. Before she got off, whoosh, it all went back on again. Isn't that fantastic?
Is that your
Yes, this is my aeroplane.
That's what I thought.
But my mother used to always dress up to go to the airport, because she always used to say that if you dress up when you go to the airport, you could get upgraded.
That doesn't always work, though, sadly.
Not anymore, sadly.
No, you have to offer your services.
Oh,
yes, absolutely.
Cherry,
that doesn't work now.
Goodness me! But you know, you were talking about.
Listen, I'm sorry, I'm completely stunned. What, to the Mile High Club?
No, darling, I'm talking about offering them a cup of coffee or something to eat.
How very revealing. That's all I'm saying.
I have to tell you, you know, we were talking about matching the car with the outfit.
Yes.
You know the Lady Penelope car?
Yes.
The pink. my mum, of course, who created Lady Penelope, took into the studios some nail varnish to match the colour. Now, I'd love to know what colour that was, but I remember her telling me she did that.
Oh, you see,
How was Lady
it is a generational thing, I think, but it stayed with me, you know, going out to anywhere. And I don't empty bins, but if I was emptying a bin, of course,
yes,
I would dress probably in black. And, you know, I mean, I know it's a joke, but I think it's fabulous to dress up, don't you?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Absolutely. And every day, my children would not have recognised me at the school gates if I didn't have on a heel and a lip line.
Yeah.
They would walk past their own mother in the street. They would not know me because I'm full face every day.
At 89, my mother had 6-inch heels still, and she still wore a bikini. Now, I haven't worn a bikini since I was 10. She was wearing a bikini at 89.
I don't even know what the word means, darling.
Amazing.
Don't even know what it means.
Look, all this.
Now, Dee, what was Lady Penelope's car, though? What sort of car?
It was a Rolls Royce, and Fab 1 was the number plate.
Fab
and it was
1?
Have you ever had?
That.
Did she ever have that number plate, your mum?
Yes, I've got it. I've actually got Fab 2, I have to say.
Have you got the Rolls, though, darling? Do you have a Rolls?
No, the Rolls will be coming later, darling.
Okay,
but
just checking.
I don't know which millennium, but at some point. Hopefully, you never know. On the wish list.
I remember many years ago. Do you remember Fiona Richmond?
Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Her number plate was FU too.
Oh.
No.
It was. used to see it all around the West End. I always used to say it was a yellow, I think it was an E-type Jag, and it was FU2.
Oh,
wow.
I want that.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I want that.
Yeah. It's a great number. It's probably still around now.
Anyway.
But anyway, talking about FU2s, we have a fantastic guest, actually. I mean, I wonder, do you think he might have dressed up for us today?
Oh, I hope so.
We have.
I'm not sure.
Yes, well, if he has dressed up, because this is the whole thing, he might not be allowed into the Wonderbirds nest unless he's dressed up. So we have actor, author, well, everything, cricketer, the most wonderful friend of mine, Mr. Michael Simkins. Mike, are you dressed up?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, Mike, you are.
Oh, voila.
Stunning, darling.
Fabulous.
Stunning suit.
Good morning,
Yes,
ladies.
You look
Marvellous.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. You look fantastic.
Good afternoon.
Mike, is that suit looks amazing. I heard from a little birdie, another birdie in the nest, that there might be a story behind your suit.
Well, there is. It's a tux, 3-piece tux, Debbie, and I not only got married in it about 12 years. Well, actually, it was 18 years ago. And,
Oops.
how time flies when you're having fun. And
Well saved.
this was actually made for me by the wonderful designer Mark Thompson for the 1996 production of Stephen Sondheim's Company, directed by Sam Mendes. And I'm absolutely thrilled to say that 30 odd years later, I can still get into it. How about that?
Oh,
Yay!
Wonderful.
Amazing.
Wow.
I can't say the same about anything.
Yeah. The thing is, Mike, did you buy it or did you steal it? We won't tell anyone.
I was given it, Debbie. I think that's the word now.
yes, that's what
I think
I
that's
always
the point,
say.
isn't it?
I always say
Gifted.
that.
So, Mike, you've had the most fantastic career, but I want to talk to you about the fact that you were a Guardian columnist and a fantastic writer. I mean, did the books came first? Obviously, your acting books.
Yeah. The story, Debbie, of how at the age of 40 I became a writer out of the blue and from nowhere is so extraordinary.
What
And
happened?
it would take too long. It would take all the program to tell you. And at the end of it, you'd have to all lie down and take a Fensic to try and get over the shock. It really is an extraordinary story. And I will tell you sometime, but suffice it to say, a series of extraordinary coincidences suddenly gave me the chance to write a couple of features for The Guardian. And so I did that. And then I was invited to the Guardian Spring Party, and I didn't know anybody there. I'd never met a journalist. And I went along and I introduced myself to the editor. And he said, "So it's marvelous to meet you, Michael. I mean, very accomplished writing. I mean, are you writing anything at the moment?" I said, "No, I'm not writing." I said, "I'm not a writer. I've just come off stage from Chicago in the West End with Denise Van Outen. I was on stage an hour ago. I've never written anything in my life. And he perked up and he said, we've been trying to get an interview with Denise Van Outen. I said, Ian, I think I can help you out there. Leave it with me. And the rest is history. That all went there.
Wow.
And I got another couple of pieces. And then they took me out for a lunch where I sat completely tongue-tied because I was sitting with a load of Guardian editors who all had brains the size of Rutland. And I didn't know anything apart from about the history of repertory theatre. And at the end of it, just as he was paying the bill, he said, well, look, the point is this. He said, the reason I've asked you out today is that we want an article about what it's really like to be an actor. It's got to be 700 words every week. It's got to be funny. Do you think you can have a go at it? And I had 3 goes at it. They loved the 3 ones I wrote, and the rest was history. So I then had a column.
Brilliant.
To the book, and here I am.
Wow.
Lovely.
Wow. So your books, I want to ask you about Fatty Batter. Because how did that come about? What happened?
The fact is, Sherry, that one of the things that has perhaps held me back in life is that I've had a real obsession with cricket, and cricket was a game that I was an enormously fat kid. I grew up in a sweet shop in Brighton, so you know I could.
Did you really? Was it a sweet shop?
It was a sweet shop in Brighton, and the only way. And my parents were working so hard from morning to night that they weren't able to monitor my sweet consumption. So by the age of about 10, you know, I was literally like Billy Bunter. The only way you could get me to run 100 yards was to put a tub of Quality Street at the far end. And what cricket did is that it suddenly allowed me to play a game whereby you didn't have to be svelte and lean like all the other kids were at school. And, you know, there was a place in it for a big fat kid who could biff a ball but couldn't do much else. So I fell in love with cricket. It gave me a sort of, you know, it gave me some sort of sporting identity. And therefore, it struck me many years ago now that it might be interesting to write a memoir of what it's like being a fat kid growing up in a sweet shop who suddenly finds he can play cricket. And
And do you still like sweets?
I love sweets.
Still got that sweet tooth then.
There are only 2 things that I have no on-off button. I have no control over in my life. And one is crisps, Sherry, and one is sweets. And my wife is always absolutely so humiliated. We go to parties, or we did before. Do you remember those days when we used to go to parties?
Yeah.
And I'm fine, and I'm doing all the sophisticated metropolitan chit chat and being, oh, Michael Simkins is Michael Simkins out. And then suddenly I see that somebody's put a bowl of crisps down or a bowl of sweets. And I just go there and I hoover them up. It's dreadful and it's quite disgusting, but those are the 2 legacies of my childhood.
Oh, how funny.
But you're lovely and slim now, Mike. You're lovely and I've never known you overweight.
No, I know, but you didn't know me. I mean, there's a photo of me at the age of 15 when I'm standing in my lounge singing some Gilbert and Sullivan that was taken for the local newspaper, the Brighton Evening Argus. And I tell you, Debbie, I'm a 9.5 out of 10 for Claire Rayner. And that was a lookalike for Claire Rayner. And that was really? At the age of 14, yeah.
Goodness. And Michael, you also have another passion, which your lovely wife, Julia, encouraged you to pursue, which is your Gallic fantasy, which you actually took time out from your acting career to pursue. Is this correct?
Yeah, I did, Dee. To be honest with you, the idea of writing a book about France came from my editor because we were looking for me to write another book after Fatty Batter. And he said, I think you should go around France, our nearest neighbours. And I said to my editor, look, I don't want to go to France. I can't speak French. I've never been to France and I hate the French. And he said, Michael, there's your book. So I set off, and the fact was for Julia, my wife, Julia Deakin, the actress, for her 50th birthday, I did take her to La Coupole in Paris, and my wife speaks perfect French. she'd deny it, but she does. It's, you know, it's the nearest thing we get to a sex life these days. When she speaks French, suddenly, you know. And I said to her, all I want you to do, Julia, is to order the meal in French. That's all you do. I'll pay for Eurostar tickets. I'll take all your best friends, but can you order the meal? And she ordered the meal for 6 of us in perfect French at this very swanky Paris restaurant. And at the end of it, the waiter in English said, "Certainly, madam." And for dessert. And I narrowed.
Amazing.
And in a madcap moment, her best friend Jenny from Birmingham, who was just trying to sort of smooth it over, said to the waiter, "Oh, it's her birthday today. Can you guess how old she is?" She was 50. "Can you guess how old she is?" And he said, "I don't know, 63, 64.
What?
So Julia
It just got worse.
Julia said, "You go to France by yourself. I'm never going there again."
But they do revere older women, having said that.
Oh, yeah. And so I went around France. I went around France for a summer. I went to Lourdes. I went to France's biggest naturist and swingers complex in the south of France. Yeah.
Tell us.
Oh dear. I'll tell you, ladies, and it's something that is quite interesting, actually. It is interesting how when you're traveling in a foreign land by yourself and nobody in the country knows who you are, it's surprising what you can persuade yourself to do. You know, if anybody else had been with me, the idea of me leaving my clothes at the entrance and spending the whole day walking around completely naked, among a load of, you know, frankly, libertines would be, that's, you know, that's barely described. You know, it was pretty gamey in there. And you know, I would never have done it. But I stood at the entrance and I thought, well, there's a chapter here. I've just got to do it. And nobody will know whether I've been here or not. So I just went in, I spent the whole day there. I came out and I phoned Julia afterwards. I said, you'd never guess where I've been. Julia, I've been to a swingers camp all day. I have to say that you could have cut this silence with a knife. And then I didn't get up to any harm, but I saw a few things. So I went around France, I charged around France, and then I ended up taking Julia back to La Coupole in Paris, and ordering the meal myself in faltering French, and that was the end of the book.
Perfect.
Oh, fantastic. Well done.
That's a
Darling,
story.
Love it.
I want to just talk to you about your diverse theatrical career and salute. I've tried my best today to honour the lycra that we both shared. Here is the 20 years of Mamma Mia mug, and here's my orange. Just saying. Can I talk to you about putting on lycra in a speed, you know, throwing it on at the speed of light? It's almost impossible for mature people. And they now call us, the dynamos, they call heritage dynamos, which is a shock. So it was when we had to do a quick change with lycra, I've never gotten over it. It was about 3 people squeezing us in.
When did you do it, Harriet? Where did you do it? When did you do it?
Prince of Wales, and I can't remember, darling.
1922, Michael.
That funny, Sherry, possibly less. Anyway, moving on. Yeah,
we time travel, as she said.
Time travel, yeah. I think it was 2012, maybe 2012, I think. But it was, again, a platform boot and a lot of lycra. Did you enjoy it, darling?
Well, I did 2 stints in Mamma Mia, Harriet. I did the second year. So after I went up for it in the first year. I went up for the part of Sam when nobody knew it was going to be the big that it was. And I never forget, I had to sing Knowing Me, Knowing You. And I made the mistake of putting the ahas in. Now in the show, Sam doesn't sing the ahas. He just stands there and sings Knowing Me, Knowing You in a very grave, you know, meaningful manner. And the chorus off stage, I think, sing ahas. Well, when I sung the ahas, I mean, the entire creative team, including Bjorn and Benny, shot up. Philida Lloyd, the director, said, we don't do the ahas, Michael. I said, no, we don't do the ahas.
Not when you're giving a Chekhovian performance.
Indeed not. Almost it, I would describe it as. So I didn't get it. But then I went up for it the second year. I didn't do the ahas, and I got the job. And interestingly, Harriet, talking about lycra, the dynamos, of course, wear lycra. But the men that 3 dads who come on at the curtain call in full lycra, that decision was taken during my first year. They didn't used to come on in Lycra.
Did they not?
No, and then it was such a huge hit that suddenly it was announced that the three dads had to come into the Prince Edward Theatre to be fitted for Lycra. And a photograph was taken by Louise Plowright, who was playing Donna, dear departed Louise Plowright.
Darling,
Took a photo of me being fitted for a spandex codpiece. And
darling, that could raise a lot of money now. Do you still
raise
have
a lot of things?
Yeah, well,
eyebrows.
She said afterwards, I've never seen you look so miserable in your life. But of course, it was a fantastic, and in answer to your question, Harriet, I don't know about you, and I'd be interested to know your thoughts on this. I mean, I had the best time. I'd never done a factory musical. And, you know, it is hard work, as you know, doing literally 350 shows off the bat, really. You get a couple of weeks off, but it's hard work. Those 5 o'clock Friday matinees are tough.
Oh, don't. Straight into an evening show. You have half an hour. As you're going up the stairs, you're hearing the half-hour call for the next show.
Exactly. So. But for all that, you know, there is something so joyous about the ABBA musical, and there's something so joyous about seeing, you know, 900 people having such a good time that it never really failed to lift, even on one's darkest days where you thought, I can't.
Absolutely. It was a feel good, and it singing, dancing ABBA just makes you feel good. Yeah. Which, when you come back next time, I think you're going to have to do that. I'm just saying.
Do you still have your Lycra?
No, I wasn't allowed.
No, we're not allowed. We're not allowed here.
No.
We're not allowed.
Thank
but
God
can I ask you,
that.
darling? Well, you don't know. We've seen how lovely he looks in his suit, but full Lycra. But darling, what's happening next? What are you doing next? Is it your own theatrical show online, Zooming, or are you writing? What are you doing?
I mean, like all of us, you know, I'm trying my hand at podcasts. I'm doing a bit of, I'm on the audition panel for one of London's leading drama schools, and that's all obviously gone virtual. So that's quite interesting, you know, having to judge people from their self-tapes rather than meeting them live. But in truth, I mean, it is hard at the moment. There is no doubt about it. You know, the neighbours look very concerned, say, you know, how are you doing? What's the profession like? And the fact is that for the majority of it, it has run into you know, it's banged into a cliff. There's no doubt about that. So absolutely. I'm in this new ITV series, Finding Alice, with Keely Hawes and Joanna Lumley. Playing her new boyfriend, so that's nice, but you know, we don't know if that'll go again. So at the moment, Harriet, you know, one is scrabbling around trying to, and I suppose, you know, I don't want to get too heavy about it, but I suppose the equation we're all having to judge to a lesser or greater extent, I think it's particularly so for theatre-based actors. I think they've been hit harder than people who perhaps have a larger TV profile, simply because there's a bit more TV. But I think we are all grappling with the idea of, you know, is it going to come back? Probably, but in what form is it going to come back? And is there going to be much around for me when it does? And so there is quite an existential issue that I think all actors are going through, particularly actors, dare I say, roughly speaking, of our age, as to, you know, what is it going to be like? So there's lots of thinking time, and there's lots of thinking to be done, I think. But I've had 42 years, you know, can't complain.
Yeah. Do you think you're right? Would you write a how to self-help get through this madness book, please, for all of us?
Well, I mean, I would, Harriet, but I think the only problem is that the shelves at Waterstones might already be buckling under the weight of how to get through this COVID nightmare book. So it might just be better to just...
It's true, yeah.
You're right, darling. You're absolutely right. It's been so wonderful seeing you. Thank you so much.
Love you to come back, Mike. Would you come back and see us again?
Yes, of course I will. I've so much more to bore you with. You only have to ask.
Yes, fantastic. That is so amazing.
Well, it's been really, really nice to be on. Been a real privilege, and well done.
Thank you.
You've lifted our spirits, darling, with lots of love.
Michael.
So thank you so much. Ciao, ciao.
Love to see you. Bye.
Oh, it's a lovely man.
Joy.
Oh, he is a delight.
So funny, so glorious.
Yes, we have to get him back. He should be a Wonderbirds, some sort of columnist for us. He should do something for us. We've got to get him a
Wonderbirds column.
Yeah.
It's a Wonderbirds column. There you go.
Yeah, why not?
We've got Bob Barrett, who's made him into a chef, haven't we? He never was before. Yes. So now what can we do with Michael Simkins?
Well,
we'll leave that for another time, darling, I think.
Yes, darling. Talking
Let's
about
ask
Gallic
ourselves.
fantasy.
But tomorrow, girls, we've got Richard Arnold back.
Yay! God! And how much has he actually eaten?
Well, his own weight, I would imagine, knowing Richard. So I'd love to know what he did on New Year's Eve. I can't imagine. Can you?
Yeah, I think he's been binging not just on food, but on watching DVDs and various series, apparently.
Well, we'll find out tomorrow.
Can't wait. See you there, girls.
See ya. Bye, girls.